The Silent Watchers. The Galactic Consortium's Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with the usual cacophony of 200 species discussing the fate of civilizations. Floating orbs of light danced between the towering crystal columns, casting ever-shifting shadows across faces both familiar and alien. At the center of it all, Supreme Director Vextal, their crystalline form refracting the light into countless rainbow patterns, called for order. The motion to restrict expansion in the Orion Spur stands, they announced, their melodic voice carrying effortlessly through the vast chamber. The region has been deemed too volatile for further development. In the human observation pod, Ambassador Sarah Chen maintained her carefully neutral expression, though her fingers tightened almost imperceptibly around her datapad. Earth's representatives had held observer status in the consortium for 15 years now, watching, learning, and being systematically ignored. The humans occupy that region, rumbled Korth, the massive Drachnid representative. Though I suppose that hardly matters, given their limited reach. A ripple of amusement passed through the assembly. Sarah said nothing. Let them laugh. Let them dismiss humanity as they had for the past decade and a half. They didn't know about the Silent Fleet. They didn't know about Project Oracle. Most importantly, they didn't know about the quantum nexus network that humanity had reverse-engineered from studying their transmissions. Back on Earth, in the depths of the Olympus Command Center carved into Mars' largest mountain, Admiral James Rivera studied the real-time feed from the consortium assembly. The massive holographic display showed every detail of the alien representatives, each one cataloged, analyzed, and added to humanity's ever-growing database of knowledge. They still think we're using primitive fusion drives, Lieutenant Commander Kai Wang remarked, shaking his head. Intelligence confirms they haven't detected any of our quantum slip space signatures. Rivera nodded slowly. 15 years of being the galaxy's most underestimated species has served us well. How's the Aegis Shield testing proceeding? Final phase completed yesterday, sir. The energy absorption rates exceeded our highest projections. We can now effectively neutralize any known weapon in the consortium's arsenal. The Admiral allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had learned early on that appearing weak while building strength in secret was far more advantageous than displaying power prematurely. While the consortium's members squabbled over trading rights and territory disputes, Earth had been preparing. In high orbit above Titan, the HSS Vigilant hung in space, its advanced metamaterials rendering it completely invisible to conventional sensors. Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge, watching her crew run through another series of stealth system checks. The ship represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, a perfect fusion of reversed-engineered alien tech and human innovation. Quantum slip space drive at full capacity, reported Lieutenant Sarah Evans from her station. Aegis Shield systems nominal. We could traverse the entire Orion Spur in under 3 days without anyone knowing we were there. Maya nodded, pride evident in her bearing. The Vigilant was just one of 50 such ships humanity had constructed in secret shipyards throughout the solar system. While the consortium believed Earth barely had interplanetary capability, humanity had built a fleet that could rival any in known space. Back in the assembly hall, the debate had moved on to trade restrictions in the Perseus arm. Sarah Chen continued her diligent note-taking, recording every detail of the consortium's capabilities, prejudices, and blind spots. Her neural implant, undetectable to alien scanners, transmitted everything directly to Earth's quantum-secured networks. The humans have requested speaking rights again, announced one of the lesser administrators, causing another wave of dismissive murmurs through the chamber. Denied, Vextal declared without hesitation. Observer status does not grant participation rights in primary assembly sessions. Sarah made no outward reaction to the dismissal. Instead, she sent a quick neural burst to Earth. They're going to regret this policy soon enough. In the darker reaches of space, beyond the consortium's regular patrol routes, things were stirring. The Drachnid Empire had been quietly amassing forces, preparing for what they believed would be an easy expansion into supposedly unprotected human space. Their intelligence suggested Earth had only a handful of outdated defensive satellites and a few short-range patrol ships. They would learn the truth soon enough. Humanity had spent 15 years preparing for this moment, building strength while appearing weak, developing technology while seeming primitive, and creating alliances with other dismissed species while appearing isolated. The storm was coming, and when it broke, the galaxy would learn that humanity had never been as weak as they believed. They had simply been waiting, watching, and preparing for the moment when everything would change. In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Rivera received another priority update. The Drachnid fleet movements had increased. Their invasion plans were accelerating. "Should we reveal ourselves?" Lieutenant Commander Wong asked quietly. Rivera's expression remained neutral as he studied the tactical displays. "Not yet. Let them commit fully to their mistake. Sometimes the best way to teach a lesson is to let overconfidence run its course." The waiting game was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would learn why humans had earned their reputation throughout Earth's history as the most dangerous when they appeared the weakest. The Silent Watchers would soon show their true strength, and the consortium would never be the same. Breaking point. The Drachnid invasion fleet materialized at the edge of the Sol system, their massive warships casting long shadows across the void. 300 vessels strong, it was the largest military force ever assembled for an expansion into primitive territory. Their commander, war leader Krivak, stood on his flagship's bridge, mandibles clicking in anticipation of an easy victory. "Scan for defensive installations," he ordered, his gravelly voice filled with contempt. "Though I doubt these humans have anything worth noting." In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Rivera watched the Drachnid fleet's arrival with calculated calm. Emergency alerts flashed across every screen, but no one showed any sign of panic. This was the moment they had prepared for. "They're positioning for a standard containment formation," Lieutenant Commander Wong reported. "Exactly as our simulations predicted." Rivera nodded, then opened a secure channel to the Silent Fleet. "All ships, execute Operation Thunderbolt. Remember, we're not just defending Earth. We're changing the galaxy's perception of humanity forever." The Drachnid sensors detected nothing as 50 quantum slip space rifts opened silently behind their fleet. The HSS Vigilant led the charge, its Aegis shield humming to life as Captain Maya Patil gave the order to decloak. "By the eternal void," Krivak breathed as his tactical officer reported the sudden appearance of unknown vessels. "What trickery is this?" In the consortium assembly hall, the emergency session was interrupted by a cascade of urgent reports. Supreme Director Vextel's crystalline form flickered with agitation as they processed the incoming data. "Impossible," they declared. "Our intelligence indicated the humans had no significant military capability." Ambassador Sarah Chen stood, her voice clear and commanding. "The consortium's intelligence was wrong, as it has been wrong about humanity from the beginning." The Drachnid fleet's formation began to break as the first quantum-tipped missiles struck their rear guard. Ships that had been considered invincible shattered under weapons they had never encountered before. The Aegis shields absorbed every return blast, rendering the mighty Drachnid weapons useless. "Full retreat," Krivak roared, but it was too late. The Silent Fleet had already closed the quantum-slipped space corridors behind them. There would be no escape until humanity had made its point. On the Vigilance Bridge, Captain Patel directed her forces with precision. "Target their command and control systems only," she ordered. "We're not here to destroy them. We're here to educate them." The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 20 minutes. When it was over, the mighty Drachnid invasion fleet hung powerless in space, their weapons disabled, their engines dead, their crews stunned into silence. In the consortium assembly, chaos reigned. Representatives from 100 species talked over each other, demanding explanations, making threats, pleading for calm. Supreme Director Vextel struggled to maintain order. This is a violation of every protocol. The Drachnid representative thundered. The humans concealed their true military capability. No, Sarah Chen countered, her voice cutting through the noise. We developed our capabilities openly. You simply chose not to see them because you were too convinced of our weakness. Admiral Rivera opened a direct channel to the consortium assembly, his hologram materializing in the center of the chamber. For 15 years, we watched as you dismissed us, ignored our warnings, and treated us as primitives. Now you will listen. The silent fleet surrounded the disabled Drachnid ships, their advanced technology now fully visible to the watching galaxy. Humanity had not just defended itself. It had revealed capabilities that surpassed much of what the consortium possessed. The choice is yours, Rivera continued, addressing both the trapped Drachnid fleet and the consortium assembly. We can either begin a new era of genuine cooperation, or you can continue to underestimate us. But know this, the next time someone mistakes our patience for weakness, we won't be so gentle in our response. War leader Krivak, his mighty fleet now helpless, faced the greatest humiliation of his career. How? He demanded. How did you build all this in secret? Captain Patel's voice came through on all channels, tinged with amusement. Who said it was a secret? We built everything in plain sight. You just never bothered to look past your own prejudices. In the assembly hall, Supreme Director Vextel's crystalline form had stopped flickering, now glowing with a steady, contemplative light. Perhaps, they said slowly, it is time to reconsider humanity's status in the consortium. Sarah Chen smiled for the first time since the crisis began. Yes, she agreed. Perhaps it is. But this time, we'll be setting some of the terms. The galaxy had wanted humanity to prove itself. Now they had, and nothing would ever be the same. The age of dismissing Earth as a backward, primitive world was over. The age of human innovation and strength had begun. The breaking point had come and gone, and in its wake, a new order was emerging, one where humanity would finally take its rightful place among the stars. Shattered perceptions. The days following the Drachnid fleet's defeat sent shockwaves through galactic society. In the great halls of the consortium's capital world, Nexus Prime, emergency sessions ran continuously as species after species reassessed their understanding of humanity's place in the cosmic order. Supreme Director Vextel stood before the assembled representatives, their crystalline form pulsing with barely contained energy. The intelligence reports are conclusive. The humans didn't just defeat the Drachnid fleet. They rendered it completely inoperable without a single casualty on either side. The Zintari delegation, insectoid beings known for their analytical minds, projected a holographic display of the battle. Their technology exceeds our current understanding. The Aegis shield system alone represents a quantum leap in defensive capabilities. In the newly upgraded human diplomatic chamber, no longer relegated to a simple observation pod, Ambassador Sarah Chen met with a stream of representatives seeking to establish new relationships with Earth. The same species that had once dismissed humanity now practically fell over themselves to secure favorable terms. Fascinating how quickly perceptions change, she remarked to her AI assistant, ARIA, as she reviewed the day's diplomatic requests. We've received partnership proposals from 27 species since this morning. On the HSS Vigilant, Captain Maya Patel supervised the controlled release of the Drachnid ships. Each vessel was returned to operational status only after its crew acknowledged the new reality of human technological superiority. War leader Krivak, once so confident in his superiority, now stood humbled on his flagship's bridge. Your mercy, he grudgingly admitted to Patel via holographic communication, speaks as loudly as your strength. We never wanted to be your superiors, Patel responded. We only wish to be your equals. Remember that when you report back to your leaders. In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Rivera met with the Joint Chiefs of Earth's Defense Forces. The tactical displays showed the rapid repositioning of various alien fleets throughout the galaxy as different species scrambled to adjust their strategies in light of human capabilities. The consortium's military committee has requested a full demonstration of our quantum slip space technology, Lieutenant Commander Wong reported, a hint of irony in his voice. They're particularly interested in how we achieved stable corridor formation. Rivera allowed himself a small smile. Inform them that we'll be happy to participate in joint military exercises once our new status in the consortium is formalized. The revelation of humanity's true capabilities had done more than just prevent a war. It had fundamentally altered the galaxy's power structure. Species that had long dominated through military might or technological advancement found themselves facing a new reality, where humanity stood as their equal, if not their superior. On Earth's moon, in the newly revealed quantum engineering facility, Dr. Elena Santos led a delegation of alien scientists through laboratories that had been hidden in plain sight for years. Their reactions ranged from awe to embarrassment as they realized how much they had overlooked. "But we scanned this region dozens of times," protested a Zentari scientist, their antennae twitching in confusion. "We never detected any of this." "You scanned for what you expected to find," Elena explained. "We learned early on that the best place to hide something is where others have already decided nothing exists." The implications of humanity's technological leap reverberated through every level of galactic society. Trading corporations scrambled to revise their contracts with Earth. Scientific institutions rushed to propose joint research projects. Military alliances underwent rapid reorganization. In a secure meeting room on Nexus Prime, Supreme Director Vextal conferred with the consortium's inner council. "We must face an uncomfortable truth," they declared. "We have been outmaneuvered not through deception, but through our own prejudice." The Arcturian representative, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, pulsed with agreement. "The humans played a long game, using our dismissal of them as a shield while they built their strength. The question now is, what else have they developed that we haven't yet seen?" Sarah Chen, attending the meeting via quantum-entangled hologram, allowed the question to hang in the air for a moment before responding. "Perhaps the more important question is, are you finally ready to listen to what we have to say?" The silence that followed was profound. Humanity had not just proven its technological prowess. It had demonstrated a level of strategic thinking that few had believed possible from such a young species. Back on the Vigilant, Captain Patel received a priority communication from Admiral Rivera. "The consortium has agreed to our terms. Full membership with immediate effect and a permanent seat on the Inner Council." Patel nodded, watching as the last of the Drachnid ships disappeared into slip space. "And so begins a new chapter in galactic history. Let's hope they've learned the right lessons from this one." The galaxy had indeed learned several lessons, that appearance and reality often differed, that dismissing the potential of others was a dangerous mistake, and most importantly, that humanity was far more than they had ever imagined. The age of underestimating Earth was over. The question now was, what would humanity do with its newly acknowledged power? The coming storm. Not everyone in the galaxy celebrated humanity's rise to prominence. In the shadows of distant nebula and forgotten star systems, whispers of resistance grew into shouts of defiance. The Drachnid humiliation had sparked something dangerous. Fear mixed with resentment, a volatile combination that threatened to ignite the galaxy. Admiral Rivera stood before a holographic map of known space, watching as red markers indicated increasing military activity across multiple sectors. "They're forming a coalition," he announced to the Earth Defense Council. "The Drachnids, the Vor Collective, and at least 3 other major powers. They fear us now," Lieutenant Commander Wong observed. "And fear makes for dangerous enemies." "Fear makes for predictable enemies," Rivera corrected. "They're doing exactly what we anticipated, banding together against a perceived threat." On the consortium capital of Nexus Prime, Ambassador Sarah Chen faced increasingly hostile diplomatic sessions. The Vor Collective's representative, a towering being of living metal named Executor Ven, had become particularly vocal. Humanity concealed its true capabilities. Ven's metallic voice resonated through the chamber. How can we trust a species that has demonstrated such systematic deception? Interesting, Sarah replied coolly. How quickly defense of one's sovereignty becomes deception when it inconveniences the powerful. Tell me, Executor, does the Vor Collective share all of its military capabilities with potential adversaries? In the quantum engineering facility on Luna, Dr. Elena Santos and her team worked tirelessly. The holographic displays showed simulations of new defensive systems, improvements to the Aegis shield that even their current allies couldn't imagine. They're preparing for war, Elena told Captain Patel during a secure briefing. Our sensors detect quantum forge activities in Vor space at 3 times normal levels. The Drachnids are mobilizing their reserve fleets. Even some of our supposed allies are strengthening their military positions. Patel nodded grimly. The silent fleet is ready. We knew this might happen. That some would rather risk war than accept a new balance of power. The HS Vigilant patrolled the edge of human space, its advanced sensors detecting the movement of ships through quantum slip space. Each day brought new signs of the gathering storm. Convoy patterns changed. Civilian ships altered their routes to avoid certain sectors, and military vessels began appearing in greater numbers. Supreme Director Vextal, caught between competing factions in the consortium, attempted to maintain peace. We stand on the brink, they announced to the Inner Council. The coalition forming against Earth threatens not just humanity, but the stability of our entire civilization. Then rein in the humans, Executor Ven demanded. Force them to share their technology, to submit to consortium oversight. And if we refuse, Sarah Chen's voice cut through the chamber. Will you join those preparing for war? Will you prove that we were right to keep our advances secret? The tension spread beyond military preparations. Trade routes became contested, scientific cooperation broke down, and longtime allies found themselves choosing sides. The galaxy was dividing itself, not just between those who accepted human advancement and those who feared it, but between those who saw change as an opportunity and those who viewed it as a threat. In the Olympus Command Center, Rivera received reports from human agents throughout the galaxy. The coalition against Earth was growing stronger, but they weren't the only ones preparing for conflict. Several species, particularly those who had also faced discrimination from the galactic powers, began reaching out to humanity in secret. The Nixians have offered us access to their dark matter mining facilities, Wong reported. The Aetherian Republic wants to discuss mutual defense agreements. Even some Drachnid splinter groups are indicating they'd rather ally with us than join the coalition. The galaxy is realigning itself, Rivera mused. Old powers falling, new alliances forming. This is about more than just humanity now. It's about the future of galactic civilization itself. On the Vigilance Bridge, Captain Patel received a priority alert. Coalition forces had begun moving in formation, their trajectory suggesting a coordinated operation. They're testing our responses, she told her crew. Pushing boundaries, looking for weaknesses. Humanity's response would need to be perfect, strong enough to deter aggression, but measured enough to avoid sparking the very conflict they hoped to prevent. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering if the species they had once dismissed would now be its salvation or its destruction. In her quarters on Nexus Prime, Sarah Chen composed a message to Earth's leadership. The storm is coming, she wrote. Not just ships and weapons, but a clash of philosophies. The question isn't whether humanity belongs among the stars anymore. It's what kind of galaxy we want to help create. The coalition's ships continued to gather. The silent fleet maintained its vigilant watch, and in research facilities, diplomatic chambers, and command centers throughout human space, preparations continued for whatever came next. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. As the storm clouds gathered, many wondered if they were about to make an even bigger mistake by overestimating humanity's patience. A new order. The coalition struck at dawn, Universal Standard Time. 2,000 ships emerged from quantum slip space, their weapons charged, their intentions clear. The Vor Collective's dreadnoughts led the assault, followed by Drachnid war cruisers and vessels from a dozen other species. It was the largest armed force ever assembled in galactic history. In the Olympus Command Center, Admiral Rivera watched the invasion fleet's approach with calculated calm. "And so they've made their choice," he said quietly. "Initialize Operation Paradigm Shift." Across human space, hundreds of quantum receivers activated simultaneously. The silent fleet, now expanded to over 200 vessels, prepared for humanity's response to this ultimate challenge. But humanity had one final surprise for the galaxy. On the bridge of the HSS Vigilant, Captain Maya Patel opened a channel to all ships, friend and foe alike. "This is your only warning," she announced, her voice carried across the quantum communications network. "Power down your weapons and prepare for Demonstration Omega." Executor Ven's metallic laugh echoed through the response channel. "You're outnumbered 10 to 1 human. Your technological advantages cannot overcome such odds." "Numbers," Paddle replied calmly, "are not always what they appear to be." At her command, the quantum field generators that humanity had secretly installed throughout their territory activated. Space itself seemed to ripple as thousands of microscopic quantum corridors opened simultaneously. The coalition fleet suddenly found itself surrounded by an energy field unlike anything they had ever encountered. By the eternal void, Ven breathed as his sensors reported the impossible. The energy field was not just containing their fleet. It was connecting to their ship's quantum cores, the very hearts of their propulsion and weapon systems. In the Consortium Assembly Hall, Supreme Director Vextal and the gathered representatives watched in awe as humanity revealed its true masterwork. The quantum network wasn't just a defensive system. It was a fundamental reimagining of how space, energy, and matter could interact. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the assembly, her voice clear and unwavering. "For 15 years, we studied how every species in the galaxy approached quantum mechanics. We learned your methods, understood your limitations, and then we went beyond them. This network can neutralize any quantum-based technology within its range, or enhance it. The choice is yours." The coalition fleet hung powerless in space, their quantum cores temporarily suspended in a field of humanity's creation. They could neither fight nor flee, forced to witness the full extent of human innovation. "We could disable your ships permanently," Admiral Rivera's voice echoed across all channels. "We could strip your vessels down to their atomic components using this field. But that's not why we developed this technology." Dr. Elena Santos, speaking from the Luna facility, took over the explanation. "The quantum network can be configured for peaceful purposes. It can enhance your FTL travel, improve your energy efficiency, even help terraform hostile worlds. We developed it not to dominate, but to unite." In the dead silence that followed, Executor Ven's next words shocked everyone. "You could have used this to conquer us all. Why didn't you?" "Because that's not who we are," Sarah Chen replied. "Humanity's strength isn't in our technology. It's in our ability to imagine a better future and work towards it. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help build a galaxy worth living in." The coalition fleet remained frozen in the quantum field as their leaders faced a choice that would determine the future of galactic civilization. One by one, ships began powering down their weapons. The Drachnid vessels were the first to stand down, followed by the smaller species. Finally, even the Vor Collective's mighty dreadnoughts deactivated their combat systems. Perhaps, Vextal addressed the Consortium Assembly. "It is time we all learned from humanity's example. They advanced not through conquest, but through innovation. They sought not to destroy, but to transcend." In the following days, as the coalition fleet dispersed and new treaties were drawn up, the galaxy began to transform. The quantum network, now openly shared with peaceful species, revolutionized everything from trade to exploration. Ancient enemies found common ground in studying and implementing human innovations. On the Vigilance Bridge, Captain Patel watched as the last of the coalition ships departed. "Do you think they finally understand?" she asked Admiral Rivera's hologram. "They understand that we're stronger than they imagined," he replied. "In time, they'll understand why we chose this path." The new order that emerged wasn't built on fear of human power, but on recognition of human potential. The species that had once dismissed Earth as primitive now looked to humanity not as conquerors or overlords, but as teachers and partners in creating a better galaxy. Sarah Chen, standing in the newly established Quantum Development Center on Nexus Prime, watched representatives from 100 species working together to understand and implement human innovations. "We did it," she whispered to herself. "We changed not just how they see us, but how they see themselves." The age of underestimating humanity was over. In its place arose an era of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. The galaxy had learned that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to build, the courage to innovate, and the compassion to use knowledge for the benefit of all. And in the vast expanse of space, the silent fleet maintained its vigilant watch, ready to defend not just humanity, but the new future they had helped create. A future where the stars themselves bore witness to the triumph of human ingenuity and hope over fear and conflict.